standing by with their support and mid laner.
Thanks, Flowers. Biofrost, PowerOfEvil, congratulations on the victorious win for CLG. PoE, I want to come to you first and ask just how does it feel to take this win? Because not only did you 3-0 Optic, your former team, that you just weren't able to end up carrying into playoffs. So how does it feel to take down this team?
Well, I really like all of the Optic squad still, and we spoke a little bit before the match, and it was kind of sad that we faced the first team in playoffs, but I feel like after the first game, I don't know how we won with this draft. I'm really happy about it that we turned it around and got the win. And I feel like after that, we just had the momentum and we just kept it going because I feel like all of us are veterans and I feel like we have so much experience on our back that I feel like it wasn't that hard afterwards.
And I saw you give hugs to almost every single player on the line. Were there any exchanges that you had before or after the game?
Well, I just told them that they shouldn't be too upset about it. I feel like we are still friends in Optic, and even between the games we spoke a little bit, and I think Arrow came to me after the 2-0 and was like, we're gonna make it 2-1, we're gonna make you fight for it, and it was really fun. It was really cute. Viral fun. Viral fun, definitely.
Oh, gosh. Well, Biofrost, okay, let's come to you next because it's been, what, 2 years since you were last in playoffs, and now here you make your appearance in quarterfinals and have this dominating victory. So what does this all really mean to you?
Feels great. I get to keep my 100% playoff win rate. But yeah, it does mean a lot because when you play really poorly or when you're not doing well as a team for a while, it's been 3 splits, you start to doubt yourself. So I'm really happy that we can make it this time around, and I think we got a good squad.
Well, let's talk about the series itself, because I just want to ask about your progression of confidence, because in Game 1, super long, looked like it was going to Optic. Game 2, the game really started to look like it was yours. And in Game 3, you started off with a level 1 invade. So just tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I feel like we didn't need to show too much variety in the series because we just 3-0'd them, but I feel like we definitely showed some strategies, like the level 1 invade, or I feel like as well, the level 1, the first game where we just fought until the end, I feel like we just kept reminding ourselves, okay, give up the Baron, it's the 4th Baron, just give it up again. Give it up again, we have Azir, and maybe they will step up, and then Rexer can flash on someone. So we have every 5 minutes a small winning condition. So we just spoke about these things, and we actually made it work. So I feel like it shows that we're a really strong team.
And I noticed that you said you showed off some strategies. Does that mean that there are still some secret strategies ready for the rest of playoffs?
Well, definitely. We didn't need to show too much today, so that's really good for us.
Biofrost, looking at you, it seemed like in the last game you were hitting almost every single binding as Morgana. So what really flipped the switch on for you and Stixxay in the bot lane in this series?
Was definitely tired of getting camped in bot and playing these really bad matchups. So we finally got a good situation for us, and I'm glad that we were able to show it. We're pretty confident in lane dominant champions, so it really worked out for us.
All right, and I just got news. You guys are going to hear it first. Team Liquid chose Clutch Gaming as their semifinal opponents, which means that you are going to be taking on Cloud9. So, gentlemen, first reactions.
Well, for me, I feel like that's a little bit more annoying. I think Cloud9's mid jungle is really strong, and it's just more annoying for me.
Obviously, I think that TL is probably the better team. They've gotten first, they have MSI experience. So playing against Cloud9 is definitely easier, but that's not to say that they're still a really strong team. And in the tiebreaker, we just absolutely got decimated. But I think that's probably because of draft and we had some bad communication in the game. So I think it'll be much closer this time around.
And a lot of people were saying, this is mainly Twitter and Reddit, but people were saying, you know what, I wonder if Biofrost's playoff success is based off of his performance or just double-lift his lane partner. So are you going to prove them wrong in the semifinal and potentially meet up against Team Liquid in the finals?
No, it's just double-lift.
Vincent, confidence.
I'm just joking. I'm okay. Yeah.
It's okay. All right, well, gentlemen, any last words to the fans before you start your week of preparation?
Well, I'm happy for everyone who came out here, supported us today, and just over the last couple of weeks, I think we were all a little bit sad that we didn't make it to semifinals, but just made it 3-0 today, and now we're back there.
Words of confidence, Vincent.
Let's go.
Let's go, team.
Let's go.
Guys, once again, congratulations on the win. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Avali. Let's go. The trail off Let's Go to the
Detroit.
Are you inspired now to go play some League of Legends? No. In all honesty, that was a smash for CLG, and the series got progressively more dominant for them after that first game where PowerOfEvil kind of sided. They were hanging in by a thread with a 5-minute cooldown win condition of the Rek'Sai Flash, which would come up big. But this third and final game here was much more the look that we expect out of CLG with the strong button.
I mean, this is the kind of stomp that means that we might not even get to see Optic get to book scrims against CLG for a little while. It really was so one-sided because the lane dominance from the early get-go, the approach to the level 1 as well, finding an invade, and then it just felt like Optic was asphyxiated. They couldn't do anything.
I mean, they're definitely not going to be scrimming for a while because Optic is out completely. So
this was such an unlucky invade because Big barely missed this, and Arrow's positioning barely missed it until they're right on top of him. Like, I thought, God, this wouldn't not happen like 9 out of 10 scrims, like 19 out of 20 scrims, but it still did.
This is such a nice sidestep from Biofrost to actually get the return kill, because otherwise this is really just you flash out, okay, the jungler ganked you, but you turn the gank, and you get double buffs to the Caitlyn, it's over. The lane is done.
3v2 situation, and then, yes, as you mentioned, it's over from that point forward. Stixxay would become an absolute monster on the Caitlyn. With the early gold lead, the turret pushing comes all that much easier.
And Arrow just walks back up, thinks he's safe, and Stixxay walks up and just kills him.
He has IE at this point, right?
Yeah.
It's like IE to a few long swords or maybe even a VF sword.
This is like a very classic Caitlyn game. Like when you get choked out by Caitlyn, you lose your bot tower, rotates top, lose your top tower, mid tower, and then it's just over. All your towers are gone. They Rift Herald top for the second tower, and it just felt like CLG had an enormous lead. They took a 19-minute inhib. Tower inhib. I think.
It was just the
inhib tower. The inhib tower mid.
And it was just
came
over.
down pre-19 minutes.
Yeah, it was like, you know, Optic kind of got their back broken off basically that level 1 invade and the Meteos death. Even on the top side of the map, where they should have had their priority with the Jace and the Poppy, still just really couldn't get anything going. I think, you know, Rune had a massive 4%, even took a couple turret plates by himself.
Yeah, he had almost 2 turret plates, like literally 1 auto away from getting the second one before the 14-minute mark. And as you mentioned, he was largely even in CS with what seemed like an advantageous forward percentage against the counter matchup of the Jace.
Yeah, and it's not something that Optic usually finds leads on, putting Dokla in a carry as well. So you know that if that's where they are having to fall back to get anything in this game, something has gone wrong. It really is like, it did not come together for Optic at the very last minute. They fell apart, but I cannot wait to see CLG against Cloud9.
I know. They were saying that, of course, TL is the scarier team of the bunch, but knowing that they'll go up against C9, not an easy task, but definitely feel like they are capable of beating that squad. Citing the tiebreaker loss, saying more draft and communication errors that resulted in that loss. But in talking about this victory here today, to sweep their way to the semifinals, every player needed to step up. And when it came to player of the series, that accolade is going to go to the mid laner, PowerOfEvil.
This felt to me like one of the closest player of the series you ever had to give out. Every single game, a different member of CLG was the primary carry. It was Wiggily in game 1 with the Flash Rek'Sai and berries. It was PowerOfEvil and Rune in game 2 having all the big plays.
Azir and Camille, yeah.
Yeah, and in game 3, it's the bot lane. So, you could take your pick of any game depending on which one you wanted. PoE, we felt like, was the most consistent player throughout the series, and that's why we ended up giving it to him.
And I think CLG just shows the traits of a good team. Anyone on their team can carry. I said that at the very start of the cast, but you guys can hear me. I said it to these other analysts. I was like, hey, CLG right now is kind of what you expect TSM historically to be at the end of the season. Near playoffs, like TSM kind of comes together, all their pieces start working together, and they gel together like a machine. That didn't happen this season, but you know what happened for? CLG. And CLG finally on the rise after like, I don't know, a year or 2 bad years, they're finally back.
And to your point, Mark, while we could acknowledge any of the 5 members on CLG, the one that we will give an additional nod to behind PowerOfEvil is Wiggily. In his first LCS playoff performance, gets the 3-0 and is very crucial in that first game turnaround, which really kickstarted momentum.
And that's just a story of CLG the whole split long. We look at the team and think, okay, who should really be the MVP, the standout? But so many members continue to step up, and that's what reaffirms in us that it's a legit team, that CLG is actually a good team. Every single member is carrying their own weight. And when you thought, oh, maybe maybe it's not him, right? He's struggling in the first 2 games. Suddenly he turns it around in the bottom lane. Same thing with Biofrost, PoE, Ruin, and Wiggily. Like, this is an actual team that doesn't seem to have a weak point to exploit. And so a team to beat them has to come up with a better plan than finding whatever isn't working for CLG.
They pick up each other's slack, too, which is really what you want to see out of a team. When the bot lane is getting smashed by this Draven, like, don't worry, you have Ruin and PoE.
100 CS lead on the Camille top
Yeah.
lane, without a doubt. It's great to see that from CLG. And we'll be back to talk about this a little bit more, but for more on his first quarterfinal win in the LCS, let's send it over to Riv to hear from CLG's jungler.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And I do kind of want to start right there, Wiggily. What Dash was saying is that first quarterfinal matchup now in the LCS. It's been a long year, but improvement throughout. What were your expectations coming into this playoff match?
Well, I think all of our expectations were that we were going to win, honestly. But obviously getting 3-0 is always like a nice surprise. But I guess for me, it wasn't really a big surprise. But I guess it's just good to get the 3-0, obviously. But yeah. Those are our expectations.
I'm sure it surprised a few. It's been kind of turmoil back and forth with CLG being able to make it into the later part of the season, but something was different about the atmosphere throughout the year. A lot more fun, smiling faces, even throughout this 3-0. What has kind of changed for the CLG atmosphere that's allowed this?
Well, we win now, so I guess winning kind of fixes everything in a way. When you're a better team, it's just easier to have fun with your teammates, I think. And obviously, like, outside of the game, everyone gets along really well, too, so that helps. But the biggest thing is we're just winning, and we're a good team, so, yeah. It's easy to have fun.
All right, Wiggily, next one's about you. We've heard a few of the teammates that you have talking about your maturity and how that has leveled up so much throughout the season. Kind of from your point of view, what has that growth been, and what's different for you?
I think that I just try to model my game, like, behind other good junglers, and I just tried to look at what other people are doing and what things I struggled with last split. And yeah, it's just with the help of the coaching staff and my teammates, I think that I just kind of figured out some of the things that I was struggling with last split. And you know, sometimes it just takes time to get used to the environment, playing on stage, your teammates, everything as a jungler. So I think that was really helpful for me.
Well, it seems like everything's coming together to get that past result CLG has found in the finals. Final question for you. It has been Cloud9 that you are going up against. We just found out you get a little bit of revenge for that bye tie. How do you feel about the matchup?
I think that it'll be a really fun match to watch. Our last game with them didn't really go how we planned. It was kind of a really sad way to end the split, but I don't think the games are going to look like that. I think that was kind of a one-off type of game. So I think it's going to be a really close series. It should be fun.
Wiggily, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck moving forward, and best of luck to all of the CLG fans who are hoping we're going to throw back to the State Farm Analyst desk to break down the rest of the day.
Thank you, Riv, and congratulations again, Wiggily, on your first quarterfinal win here in the LCS. Citing that a lot of his improvement was modeled off of other good junglers. I would be very curious, one, to know who he modeled himself after. But beyond that, let's acknowledge. Oh, did you really? You just, oh my God. Get off of my desk. I was going to say, because really what's interesting to me is that he is about to go into one of the toughest jungle matchups of his career in Svenskeren, Cloud9 semifinal matchup. That's going to be a big one with all of our final teams competing at the Little Caesars Arena. We're locked into the top 4. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bigger picture for the road to Detroit, presented by Rocket Mortgage. As we pull up the bracket, we've got Cloud9 versus Counterlogic Gaming, as just stated, and Team Liquid versus Clutch on the other side of the bracket. Let's talk first about CLG and Cloud9.
Oh, baby. PoE talked about it. He said, it's not going to be a fun series for me. He knows the jungler attention is coming mid. He knows Niski loves to play aggressive. And for me, that's really the crux of this matchup. You have the lowest deaths in the league mid laner, and PoE going up the most kills in the league mid laner. And it's about, can PoE neutralize him? That's where I think this matchup really lies.
I mean, I think a big part of it is that a lot of the time, CLG does like to fall back on the Oriannas in the mid lane, a little bit of a slower pace, whereas Cloud9 has shown that not only do they bust out innovative picks against very standard meta like the Veigar that we saw out of Niski, and even going to the Yasuos, like, they will punish what you are going to bring out that you have shown the entire season long. So CLG better be ready for Cloud9 to bring a lot of fire in the draft.
I'm just excited to watch Svenskeren play. He's honestly played phenomenally. Like he's, if not the front runner, like one of the front runners for MVP candidate of the season.
Definitely one of the front runners.
And he's earned it in all the games that I've seen. Like this guy is a premier playmaker, and honestly, I'm just really excited to see him play.
And I think what's so intriguing, too, to your point, Mark, about the mid lane and needing to either neutralize Niski and or win that matchup, for CLG, what they have at least shown us here today, and we've already talked about it, is the ability for, hey, if that mid lane matchup isn't going to be winnable for PowerOfEvil, it doesn't have to be. We can find our wins in the other lanes as long as PowerOfEvil can contain or minimize the effect that Niski has on the map.
Equally true for C9, though. Last time it was Sneaky and Zeyzal dumpstering CLG's bot lane. Licorice is a god. So, like, both teams have so many threats.
Yeah, I especially saw the last game recently, and I was like, wow, this bot lane turned into a disaster. They got 4-man dove, and then it was 20 CS deficit at like 4 minutes.
Well,
so,
that's where you talk importance of draft then, too, right? And securing the matchups. Reaper has long been touted as one of the more draft-focused and draft-intelligent coaches throughout the LCS.
I mean, there are some times.
Occasionally drops the ball. You always, drop the ball. Yeah.
But so can every single team.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not something new.
All right, what about the other side of things? We're talking about the 1 seed in Team Liquid, looking to do what no other team has done before and put 4 titles together in a row. They have to go through clutch to get that shot in the finals.
It honestly looks like it would have to be a Cinderella story for Clutch Gaming to win this, because you're up against, obviously, the toughest opponent in the entire league. And yes, there have been improving, but it looked like towards Game 4 yesterday that TSM actually could have given them a run for their money. And I don't think that barely being able to, or at least handedly beating that TSM, if it wasn't a complete stomp, is good enough to beat TL.
They should be used to the analyst desk doubting them, and there's going to be a lot more doubt for Clutch Gaming. I don't think there's a way that they beat TL, but
that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what? You're really good at the thought experiments because these two aren't. So do the mental gymnastics for me, Scar. How does Clutch beat Team Liquid?
Oh, this is not, you don't
want? No?
I am not a specialist.
You're not flexible enough in the brain for this
Clutch
one?
Gaming. I assumed they were going to make some statements. I was ready to play. I was ready to play the reverse here.
I live in reality. Money is more valuable than time.
So, if anything, you got the picks from DeMonte and Henry that are very new, right?
Kiana,
you have the Kiana, the Rumbles
really
that
beast.
are really annoying to ban in the first rotation for Team Liquid because champions like Yuumi take a little bit higher priority. And so if the draft goes their way, they are able to maybe execute a few comps that gets them 1 or 2 wins, and then they will always have to fall back on Cody Sun. So can Cody Sun outperform Double Lift?
Oh, boy.
That is actually how they will
Tall
have to
order.
win, which is crazy, which is why we don't think Clutch can win.
I don't even think it's like an AD
is.
matchup, you know? Like, I talked about Sven as like one of the front runners for MVP, but for me, it's just always been Core. When I watch Core play, I'm like, this guy's a god. Like, literally, like,
he's a
lot of times, like,
god.
I don't learn that much from watching specific games. When I watch Core play support, I feel like my brain is expanding. Like, this guy plays so well every game. He's legit hardcore carrying his team in ways that, like, people aren't even noticing. Like, great movement with a jungler, great vision control all across the map. He's always there at the right time. And, like, you know, it's been a long time since Double Lift had a support that he felt like he was, like, a world-class level with. And now, like, that he has that support, they're just a monstrous bot lane. I don't know what to say.
No doubt that Core JJ is a phenomenal bot lane, or support rather, to Double Lift's bot lane. If your brain's expanding, though, you might want to see a doctor about that one. All right, thank you very much, Scar, for joining us here today to break down this very quick and dominant 3-0 from CLG. But now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next weekend for the semifinals. Good night.
In any of these tense matches, the people who really want it are the ones that rise to the occasion.
CLG hasn't been to playoffs in the last 2 years. Optic never been to playoffs. If they lose here, their season is over, so tons on the line.
Top side, though, it is Ruin. So very close to dead. Having a flash away, but the follow-up is there, and first blood goes over to Medio.
Watch Sivir. She's caught. Help. I'm looking at
Ivy, I need help on Sarah. I need help. I got him. I don't think so. Watch out.
Oh, there they go. Wiggly's going in. The flash over the wall to shut down Arrow, and that's the initiation CLG needed.
Go. I got him. Drive. Can someone end?
CLG is collapsing.
CLG
The
might
power
end the
of Evil's
game.
gonna be
Yeah,
correct.
CLG's pushing mid.
They have to look out here.
That's it.
City's gonna win.
CLG are on the victory mark.
If you play Sivir and you have the pizza delivery skin, like Snacky's with you, like for sure.
Yeah, I actually have the power of Snacky.
Do it for Sneaky.
Ruin's gonna be in some trouble here. Issues the Hextech ultimatum. The Whirling Death came in, but the Stranglethorns will find their victims. It's a double kill for PowerOfEvil.
CLG have full control of the map. They are running this game.
We gotta get out here. We gotta get out here. This
Air slash. Nice, let's go.
Arrows on the run, Crown is down, and that is it.
Oh shit, I'm so fat.
CLG are on match point versus Optic Gaming. They're looking for the 2v2, but Biofrost says, here you go! Stixay grabs himself the kill, the ace in the hole.
Don't.
I got mid wave.
Don't hurt. Oh my god.
Don't! Syndra starting things off with a scat of the week. There comes your juggle. There goes Optic Gaming. It has been a long time coming, but CLG are headed to the semifinal.